Your guide to the truth. TheNewAmericanMedia.com.
Broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, Kentucky, Louisville to be specific. Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Agree to Disagree show here on the TNAM network at the New American Media. My name is Brian Engelman and I'm your host as I have been for the past 9 years. Oh yes, we've been covering the news in different ways for 9 different years and we have tried various methods of communication with you. We've been on Twitter. Okay, here, let's just do it this way. First off, we're on almost 2 weeks now. I kind of lost track of the date. You can go back in the archive and find out when I first reported that Facebook had disabled my personal account and my company page for the New American Media. No explanation, no attempt at remedy, no response to the hundreds of messages we've sent through Twitter, on their direct website, through Facebook, through the help section, nothing. So a media company has been disappeared. A media company who had Secret Service press clearance for the 2016 RNC, by the way. You know, we've done what we've done and provided you different sorts of news for almost a decade. That's what the new American media is because the old American media has failed us. Just disappeared. By the way, we put in for press passes for the DNC also, but they were too busy rigging their superdelegates behind the scenes against Bernie Sanders in favor of Hillary Clinton to want new American media in the party because, and when I say party, let me back that up. In the they didn't want us involved because I guess party could refer to the Democrats, but they don't want any challenge to their narrative. That's why you tune in CNN, MSNBC, CBS, ABC. Go down the list. They will give you the same talking points. And even the comics, whether it's Bill Maher, John Oliver, Jimmy Kimmel, pick whichever one you like. You're hearing mostly the same stuff when you're listening to them. You're hearing mostly the same stuff. Because they select an agenda, they have the spin doctors figure out how they want to present the information to you, and they will repeat the same talking points, no matter how incorrect they are. They will give that to you with slightly different takes, slightly different jokes, slightly different scoff. So of course they didn't want us involved in the DNC. Now the RNC ended up reluctantly nominating a guy that they didn't want in there. They didn't want a New York Democrat to be in charge of their party. So there was a little bit more openness to bring alternative media there. While there, I mean, some of our more interesting videos. We had our 2016 RNC coverage where comedian, libertarian / left-wing comedian Jimmy Dore spit in the face of Alex Jones as he was on the set for The Young Turks with Cenk Uygur. How do you say his name? And we've actually interviewed him a couple of times. Or maybe once. We've talked to him a couple times. But yeah, we caught that footage because that was like media coming at each other, taking the Scooby-Doo masks off. That was the story of the 2016 election. And it's all on the New American Media. Go back 4 years, look for it. We also, it was a Gay Republicans for Trump event. And that was the day Milo Yiannopoulos got permanently banned off Twitter. And there was an event with Milo, with the Gay Republicans for Trump, at CSU, Cleveland State University, I think at the Convocation Center. And outside, there was The Daily Show and their producers trying to catch gay Republicans coming out the door to get them in splice and dice coverage to try to get them to say something dumb so they could chop it up and use it out of context and make them look really dumb. To make Trump supporters look dumb, to make gay people look dumb, to make gay Trump supporters look dumb. And Joel Pollak from Breitbart was there, and he started filming, and he explained, I know what you do. I've worked with producers like you. I know how this goes. I know that you're going to try to make them look dumb, so I'm going to be here recording the full standalone version of this. So if you use something against these people, I'm going to compare it to you, and you'll have to deal with that. They didn't like that. So they got up in his face and started, kind of throwing chicken wings. It was like elbow to shoulder to kind of, the guy was taller and he was trying to throw his weight around, trying to intimidate Joel Pollak. And he's like, I'm not having that. You better not touch me again. And so we were right there filming that. There was the Scooby-Doo masks coming off. Media comes to you for one of two reasons. One, and it'll blur. Well, three reasons. One, someone wants to be famous. And so them being on TV, them being in front of a camera, it's something they really crave. They want the attention. Now, where I consider this whole situation, I wouldn't mind stepping back and bringing a team of people in and being more of a head coach instead of a player on the field. I don't need the camera time. I'll do it because here's the second reason people do it. Because they feel they have a worldview and a perspective that's valuable, that their take on the news is interesting, that the things they have to say are enlightening, helpful, good, to be a source of good in a sometimes evil world. And so there's that reason people get involved. For fame, trying to do good, for money. Everybody's got to eat. Everybody likes fancy food, fancy vacations, attractive partners that they can copulate with, if you will. Am I going to get banned off YouTube for saying copulate? With no explanation, no remedy. It's so dumb. We had been getting some, I'll get back to the money part in a second, but we had been getting some messages on Facebook about our conspiracy theory group. It's called TNAM Fake News, ? Debunking Conspiracies. So we put questionable stories in there to debunk the ones that we felt like, I feel like this is fake. What can we debunk here? And we would debunk it, and we'd get, fact checkers said this, and careful, your group is sharing fake news. It's like, we are doing research on questionable news. It's literally in the title and in the explanation. We need to get our account reinstated. So if anybody out there can reach out on behalf of the New American Media and me personally, I'd appreciate that. But on the other hand, people are like, just get your second account. Everybody has a second account. I said, no, I'm going to choose the wrench. You don't want me on your platform? I'm going to live on Parler. So go check us out on Parler, The New American Media. Check us out on Facebook. Sorry. Check us out. I mean, we've been erased off Facebook. Like, we haven't put X amount of years of content up there. On Twitter, we're at American_media_. At American_media_. And on YouTube, youtube.com/TheNewAmericanMedia. And I guess we have a Patreon channel. People have signed up to donate to us. We've put content up there. We've never been paid. I don't know how Patreon works. But if you'd like to donate, I don't know. I think we have Super Chat, but that's for live. I don't even know. Anyway, back to the third reason. Money. Everybody needs money. And some people don't care what they'll say. They'll just give me the script. That's fine. I'll be your actor. I don't care. And I'll play the part. I don't care. Was there a fourth reason? Fame, ideology, money. And I guess there's power and control. That's really all money is. Money is buying you little moments of power and control. The more power and control you have, the more things you can get that you want. People to do things for you, with you, at you, because of you, to oppose something you dislike. So maybe control is the other reason. But the reason why we exist is because we feel as though there are certain stories that are being underreported and certain stories that are being overreported. And I don't understand the incessant race baiting that's been happening since during the Barack Obama presidency. During the George Bush presidency, we had global issues to worry about. I mean, I went to Manhattan after 2001, after the incident. See, I don't even know what I can talk about on YouTube anymore before they'll demonetize my videos. It's really weird, people. It's really weird. This Orwellian thought police, this thought control. And I was doing the research trying to find the stories for today's show, and I can see all the manipulation by Google as the search engine. I got to get another search engine that'll just give me organic results, because it's obvious that everything you're even searching for is being filtered. I've searched for my own videos with the specific name, and they're not there for 5 pages, 10 pages, 15 pages. You can't even find some of them. Talk about shadow banned. So look, we have a lot of issues in this world. And the reason why I do what I do with the New American Media is because I'm looking forward several decades as to the type of world that we're going to want, the type of country we're going to want, and what's good and what promotes liberty and freedom. And we're in a bit of a predicament here. We're on the wrong track in a lot of ways. So that's the mission statement for the New American Media. We've always given you different content. Have we given you daily, consistent content on YouTube? No, we were weekly, and then we were sometimes daily, and we go to conventions. We'll go to the NAM show for the National Association of Music Manufacturers or Merchants. 100,000 people, and we'll interview musicians and check out concerts and new products and show you that. We go to the Conscious Life Expo every year. Metaphysical, esoteric, spiritual, unexplainable, conspiratorial, health, wellness, the conventions, Bundy Ranch. I happened to be going out there for a wedding, and that story broke, and it seemed very interesting, so we went and interviewed the people. You know, we've been around the country covering different things. And we have a network of citizen journalists all over the place who contribute. Because the New American Media isn't necessarily about your weekly, your nightly newscast. And Texas sleet covering the news. There's a guy in LA called Dallas Raines. Oh, I love Dallas Raines. Dallas Raines. It's like a Magic Mike character name. I'm Dallas Raines. Ding! Magic Mike. Now, this is where once we get our producer and once we have our team, our sidekick, we could do little skits. We could do like cheesy news guy skits. Because that's the other thing that we want to do. We want to give you content. Yeah. Yeah, I've always had an idea about doing this as a daily show, as a daily program. But I would need a producer. I need an engineer. Maybe a co-host. Kind of have a little team of people. Similar in a couple of ways to how Steven Crowder does his show. Because I think comedy is important. But hey, until we get that squared away, until we get that fully set up, we're going to give you what we can give you. So I guess the places we're most active right now, like I said, number one, make sure you check out the archived content on the New American Media on YouTube. If you let the ads play, it's like tossing a couple pennies in the wishing well. Parler, it's a new account, so we're putting some energy into it, seeing what happens. We're almost at 200 followers in a week or two. I don't know, still learning what it is. Twitter is where we've been a little more active. But look, what I want to do today is I just want to buzz through, and I mean buzz through, a couple of the most important stories that we found last week. If you want more detailed stuff, go to Parler, go to our Twitter feed. I would normally say go to that F group page, in the private groups over there, because we put very little content, actually. Oh, we're also on Instagram, instagram.com/TheNewAmericanMedia, but that's owned by F Group, and it's just a matter of time before they delete us there. So I won't even advertise them, I don't think, anymore. But yeah, we used to spend our time there, but we're going to pick the wrench, like in Good Will Hunting. No, we're not making a second account. We're just going to put our energy into platforms that aren't going to treat us like second-class citizens, like monsters. Because we're not. I'm not. Truth and freedom and liberty, that's not negative. So here, just let me do this. I'm going to buzz through a couple of quick stories that I pulled up. If you want more detail, go to those feeds. Let's start off with this one. U.S. Marshals, this is from August 30 by Caitlin O'Kane on CBS News. It says U.S. Marshals say they found 39 missing children in Georgia during a 2-week operation. 39 missing children. That was another part of what that F group, that social media starts with an F. MZ is the guy that runs it. I'm not even going to talk about him anymore. Like, until I get this account back, I think it's... We had a PG group over there. It kind of started, a Comet And the group was named PG Investigation Group, TNAM PG Investigation Group. That doesn't mean that that particular dining establishment story is the reason for the story. It doesn't mean that that's been reported accurately by almost anybody, by the way. Let's just, by almost anybody. However, all you have to do is look at Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell and Bill Clinton and Prince Andrew. Just start there. Look at the island, the helicopters, the submarines, the elites. There has been ritualistic, massive abuse of children for a long time, regardless of what you want to call it. And that was another thing that F social media group had a problem with. They didn't like when we would share stories about stopping child abuse. So if you don't like us sharing stories about stopping child abuse, does that make that F social media group in favor of child abuse? Because we're not. We think that's one of the most disgusting things that can happen on Earth. So we started getting a lot of complaints and fact checkers on these stories. It's an investigative group. We see things online, we share it, we discuss it, we debunk it. We don't ever put stories out as truth. We never want you to believe a single thing that we say or share as truth. Used as a catalyst to do and continue your own research. Unlike the people on the other side that want to tell you that they are the way and the truth and the light. The New American Media wants to share things and encourage the mostly civil conversation that continues. So it was weird. It was those two things. They didn't like the PG stories, maybe the Epstein, the Maxwell stories. And they didn't like our fake news debunking conspiracy theories group because they didn't like that we were trying to debunk conspiracy theories. They thought they were the only fact checkers in the room. They're not. Anyway, the U.S. Marshals Service found 39 missing children in Georgia over 2 weeks in a mission known as Operation Not Forgotten. In this president, you can say what you want to say about him. Some of it might even be true. But there has been a marked, obvious increase in the attack on ritualistic child abuse and trafficking, unlike anything you've ever seen. The past president was in favor of encouraging open borders and caravans of children flooding up north to dump parentless children with family, alleged family, with smugglers, with dealers, with runners, human traffickers. This president is trying to stop that and has been stopping that. You saw Epstein and Maxwell went down during this administration. You didn't see that with the last administration, did you? Operation Not Forgotten, the agency announced in a press release Thursday. The operation led to the rescue of 26 children and the safe location of 13 others. Quote, those missing children were considered to be some of the most at-risk and challenging recovery cases in the area based on indications of high-risk factors such as victimization of child sex trafficking, child exploitation, sexual abuse, physical abuse, or medical or mental health conditions, the press release reads. Other children were located at the request of law enforcement to ensure their well-being, the release continues. USMS investigators were able to confirm each child's location in person and assure their safety and welfare. The U.S. Marshals Service Missing Child Unit worked with the agency's Southeast Regional Fugitive Task Force, state and local agencies in Georgia, and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, a nonprofit organization. 9 criminal associates were also arrested. Investigators cleared 26 arrest warrants. Investigators also filed additional charges for alleged crimes related to sex trafficking, parental kidnapping, registered sex offender violations, drugs, and weapons possession, and custodial interference, according to the U.S. Marshals Service. When we track down fugitives, it's a good feeling to know that we're putting the bad guy behind bars, but that sense of accomplishment is nothing compared to finding a missing child, Darby Kirby, chief of the Missing Child Unit, said in a statement. We are working to protect them and to get them the help they need. All right, so there you go. There's a story. That's a story worth following. Let me see if I can tweet that out just if you want to dig in. Sure, I just tweeted it out on the New American Media, so have at it. Enjoy. Dig around on that story. Next. Post-convention polls. This is why I was talking about the search engines that we're using and how that can be very manipulated. The bounce for the Democratic poll was it wasn't calculable. The bounce after the Trump convention, the 2020 RNC convention, was massive. But when I'm pulling this up here, Vox shows up as one of the 3 top stories. Vox, if you ever share something or take information from Vox, VOX, or your first top story, CNN and ABC, these are all negative stories, which is hilarious because all of the actual reporting, all right, we won't say all. There is plenty of reporting that there is a massive swing to reelecting President Donald Trump for a second term. Massive swing. As in blowout. You're hearing blowout more and more and more. And you look at the polls of who would decline to participate in a poll, the Democrats or the Republicans. And all you have to do is look at that CNN. Not CNBC. What's C-SPAN? Sorry. The C's were getting me. There was a video montage of, it was like 6, 7, 8, 9 minutes of Democrats explaining why they're leaving that party and voting for Donald Trump and the Republicans. And a lot of it has to do with watching cities burn by the Marxists, by the BLM, by the Antifa, by the violent element that's being paid or brainwashed or encouraged to go out and destroy. Anytime there's some sort of police-involved event, it activates sleeper cells across the country of domestic terrorists. So I think Americans have seen this and wholeheartedly, soundly rejected this awful destruction of property, of jobs, the destruction of safety and security, and the taking of human life out on the streets. But look, I look on Google, Trump's still in trouble. First post-convention polling. Give me a break. That's CNN. ABC News. Trump's favorability and perceptions of COVID-19 response stagnate post-convention. Give me a break. Vox. New poll shows RNC didn't help Trump's approval ratings. The worst headline, the least accurate headline, the most incorrect headline, the least trusted news source, Vox. This is what I mean, if these are the only places you're getting news, I would like to encourage you to expand the base of open your receptor cells up. Open up your willingness. Become more willing to look at news from people like Scott Adams, Steven Crowder, Adam Carolla, The New American Media. What are some interesting ones? Now, I prefer podcasts. I really like the Scott Adams program. Really interesting. Crowder did such a good show yesterday. Kudos to the research team and the producers. I mean, the information that you brought to the table, I mean, you're not hearing a lot of this stuff other places. About that Kenosha, that Blake guy, that he had assaulted that woman, stuck his fingers in her, sexually assaulted her. She was scared for her safety. She called 911 to be protected from this guy. Police show up and try to arrest him because there's an outstanding warrant for him. He fights the cops, gets away from them, and goes around the car to reach inside where there's a weapon. Is anyone surprised that there's a shooting in this circumstance? No. Maybe LeBron James. Maybe all of sports. Maybe all of the dinosaur media who want to instigate some sort of awful race riot. For the life of me, I don't understand it. But anyway, the point is, I want you to go and look around. Try a different search. What is it, DuckDuckGo? Or I'm going to have to do this. I really can't trust these Google search results anymore. I'm going to have to find a new one. But if you compared, I mean, I'll call myself an objective observer. I'm obviously not objective. I do have my opinions. I like liberty and freedom. Um, Fiscally conservative, socially libertarian, pro-capitalist. I have my preferences. Everybody has their own preferences. Um, Somebody said that the left lost their best producer. Like if Harvey Weinstein, that dirtbag on the left, if he could have produced the DNC, maybe it wouldn't have come off so awful. It was really bad. It looked like it was shot in a basement by people cowering and covering in fear. The RNC was a bright vision forward. It was produced. How do you make a comparison? Take a handful of pennies and drop them on the left side. On the right side, turn one of those big those barrel containers of water, and empty one full of change. Get it up on on a ledge and tilt it over and dump a whole container of coins on the floor. You can pick and choose the content you thought was best, but the DNC didn't even mention our cities burning. It's because they're behind it. It's because they're quietly, covertly supporting it. Overtly or covertly. They thought this was a strategy. They thought hyping up COVID. Oh, that's the other story. I gotta hurry up here. COVID 6%. See, and this search engine's giving me all sorts of wow. I can't even it's hard giving you the news this way. Anyhow, I'm just going to move on. It's obvious that there was a big bump in the election. Look at different polling. You're going to have to do your own research. I have it on Twitter. I can't find it now because Google's skewing the search results. When you pick a story that has half good and half bad reporting, half left, half right reporting, and you do a search and you get all the left reporting and you don't get the mix, it's obvious that that your narrative is being morphed. It's being guided. It's being skewed, spun. Anyhow, another incident that happened over the past week, and Trump was now asked about it. He defended Kyle Rittenhouse on the eve of his visit to Kenosha, so that'll be interesting. Trump told reporters in the attorneys say that Kyle Rittenhouse acted in self-defense. There was a shooting in Kenosha. Watch the videos, but watch all the videos. There's several. You got to go all the way back. And Trump told reporters Rittenhouse was trying to get away from them, I guess it looks like. He said that protesters violently attacked him. Trump repeatedly noted the shooting remained under investigation, but also appeared to lean into Rittenhouse's self-defense argument. Trump says, I guess he was in very big trouble. He probably would have been killed, but it's under investigation. Yeah, guns were aimed at him. Guns were being shot. He was being chased by saying, let's effing kill him. I'm going to effing kill you. From someone who's saying, come, shoot me, N, shoot me, N. It was some short, white, bald pedophile that was screaming, like really angry, troll-looking dude up at this group, shoot me, and he was dropping N-bombs, which is the weirdest thing if you're going to be with BLM and you're dropping N-bombs just so casually. And this angry little pedophile, he has a pedophile record. Look up his criminal. He's a really angry, gross guy, violent. And he threw something that on the first 10 watchings of the video I thought was a Molotov cocktail. I don't know what it was. Look, it might have been something else, might have been a bag, but then he came around a different direction and there was screaming, I'm going to kill you, something along those lines. And then he spun and shot once in self-defense, dropped that guy. Then he got chased by the mob down the street. He tripped and fell. Somebody came up trying to curb stomp him. He got rid of that guy. I think he shot him. The next guy that came in with the skateboard, he came and cracked him right here, was aiming at his head, got him on the shoulder. He spun around and killed him with one shot. And then the other guy that was up on him with a gun, aiming a gun at him, stopped, took a step back. Kyle didn't shoot again. Then he took a step forward and he blew his arm up to pieces. He got up and he walked over toward where there was military presence, police presence. Then he went home and slept that night. Then he was arrested for murder. It's clearly self-defense. But Trump has now defended that. So look into that story. Because self-defense is a virtue in this state, in this country. And then a Trump supporter was shot and killed by an Antifa protester, Michael Forrest Reinoehl, Reinoehl. Reinoehl, 48 years old. He described himself as 100% anti-Antifa. I believe he has a tattoo on him, and he was just executed in cold blood. And final story, look up the real COVID numbers. They're saying that only around 10,000 died with COVID. Massive difference. Massive. Go do your own research is the point of this show. I got to run. My name's Brian Engelman. Check us out. Tell your friends. Link up with us. And we look forward to talking with you again soon. All right? Hope you enjoyed this truncated show for today. Thank you.